Welcome, race fans, back to SVR. My name is Webbo. Even though I may not sound quite like him, feeling a little bit under the weather today, but hopefully my voice will last out for the purposes of the stream. Good to be back. Good to be here for the S1 race around the Red Bull Ring in Austria, in the foothills of the Spielberg Mountains, and we're expecting a little bit of precipitation as well. So all in all, hopefully a good prospect for the race, not least for the fact that in our Season 2 Championship standings, we currently have a tie for first place after 8 rounds, with 13 in total. Beregoz and Vader are tied at the top of the standings with 138 points. More wins to Vader's name, however, missing a race in round 6 means that Beregoz's consistency, 2 wins, 3 thirds and 3 seconds, puts him on countback, certainly ahead of Vader, although normally you do that by number of wins, so I'm not quite sure. BaloFey is in third position. I don't know. Beregoz has something to do with the website presentation, so maybe that's got something to do with it as well. BaloFey is in third place on 107 points, having put in some fantastic, consistent podium scores in the last 3 rounds on the trot. We have Soulshock moving up to 4th position on 75 points, and Vicinity into 5th place on 69. Senor Dude has Senor Dude, excuse me, sorry, I moved too quickly there. Senor Dude has 43 points in 6th place, and Scavvy has 42 in 7th. 41 points in 8th place is Mario. Tied on 40 points for 9th place is Choke on Sim and Yank the Tank, which is kind of astonishing, really. 6th through 10th. Separated by 3 points. QT's not far away on 38, with Grizzle on 37. So basically, with the remaining rounds of the season, we could see a change around for any in the 6th through to 12th position, which is kind of amazing. Then we've got Grizzle in 12th. As I said, Redux has only taken part in the last 3 races, but has 17 points and is in 13th position in our standings, with Skycloud having debuted in S1 in the previous round, but scoring 10 points to her name, and is in 14th in the championship. So that's how things look for the drivers. For the teams, Coach Dave are on top on 182 to Delesi on 178. Basically, Vader and Beregoz carrying a significant portion of the load for their respective teams. Mega Racing find themselves in P3 right now, but only 5 points ahead of Kimmy's racing team in 4th. Jamplacht Interiors have 113 points, Brokarga 109, with Burkestein on 85. So we're ready to get underway. Let's find out what happened with regard to qualifying positions, which I'm going to have to change the screen. I got fully prepared and then managed to completely forget that I need driver names. Okay, so why is that not showing? I know what's going on. Excuse me a moment. Embarrassing. Obviously, I'm a little bit rusty. Big thank you to our substitute commentators as well for reason. I can just see the Dunder Mifflin go on the front wing here of Woe Grizzles. They've been collecting new sponsors here for Brokarga, and they've now got Dunder Mifflin, which is great. In P14, then he qualified in last position, or didn't qualify, I'm not entirely certain. Yank the Tank qualified in 13th, with Scavvy for Bergstein 12th and 13th positions then. QT in his own team, Jamplacht Interiors here, and the number 95 in 11, with Senor Dude qualifying for Coach Dave in 10th. Vicinity qualifying in P9. I think he'll likely be a little bit disappointed with that, but hopefully able to move forward through the course of the race. So just check out the tyres there. Vicinity starting on soft tyres. The track looks dry at the moment, but those clouds look particularly dark overhead. Bedsty Mario starts on the medium tyres, with his foot flat to the floor already, in P8, and Redux then with a slightly alternate livery in the Yamplacht interiors, with the kind of pale blue or light grey matte front nose section there in the 45. Redux qualifying in 7th. Solshock is in 6th place in the Kimi's Racing Team colours. They've shed the rainbow colour scheme that the G drivers were taking part in. I can see a slightly asymmetrical arrangement there on the front wing. Thank you for the Webo sticker prominently there on the right of the front wing. And then Jogon Sim starting in 5th place for BaloFey. We have BaloFey for Team Mega in the number 92 starting in 4th. Skycloud, wow, up into 3rd position now in qualifying here for Kimi's Racing Team. And then we've got Beregoz and Vader going head to head at the head of the field, which should be a mouth-watering prospect for anybody looking forward to a great battle between the two of them. A 3.1 meters per second northerly wind. So it means that if rain is going to come, it will come at turn 1 and turn 10 first of all. So that's something that the drivers are going to have to be cognizant of, and I would imagine that the pit lane will be the wettest part of the racetrack. Again, not wanting to give any spoilers out here, because I don't actually know any spoilers, but I did watch the S2 race voiced up by Brum, of course, and thank you to him. Slight difference on tyre selection between Vader and Beregoz. Vader on the mediums, Beregoz betting, I would imagine, on a sooner change of conditions. I'm not really sure why there'd be any other reason why you would start on the soft tyres. Skycloud on the mediums, BaloFey with Jogon Sim taking on the soft tyres as well as Solshock. So we should see some movement at the start of this S2 race. 53 laps around the winding but fairly small Red Bull Ring circuit await us, and hopefully we will have ourselves a great race. Let's get on with it then, and let's get some action. Vader, Beregoz, Skycloud, BaloFey at the front of the grid. The 5 lights are on. We're ready to go racing. I hope you're ready for this one. S2's round. There's a couple of jump starts, possibly, in fact, even a car reversing. That was Solshock reversing on the grid. Surely that has to result in some sort of penalty, but Vader and Beregoz go side by side through the first corner, and Beregoz takes the inside line and gets ahead of Vader right off the line. Fantastic stuff from him. So we have a challenge here. Vader does not have this all his own way. We can see BaloFey getting ahead of Skycloud, potentially, certainly down into the braking zone of turn 3, and getting ahead as well. So BaloFey up into 3rd position on the medium tyres, with Skycloud there in 4th position on the mediums as well. We've got Jogon Sim, who's looking very competitive in the BaloFey here, and has been well trained, well drilled by his team, I think, in preparation for this race. So let's see how this one works out. QT has had a monumentally good start. I want to see QT start all over again. Here we are on board with QT as we look to see what's going on. That's Solshock with his jump forward, jump back kind of situation. We'll have a perhaps closer look at that as well, but this is QT, traditionally a very strong start. He's got the advantage of those soft tyres early on as well. We've got some lights on the cars as they head down in towards turn 3, but great run from him. In fact, let's have another look then at what went down at the start. I'm looking for a driver behind, perhaps Solshock. Here is Mario. There was the jump forward, and then we get a reverse situation, and that causes a big problem. Bedsty Mario losing out worst of all there with a front and rear damage, because it was Senor Dude who was caught off guard by Bedsty Mario getting off the throttle and of course running into the back of the reversing Solshock. Crazy stuff to see. Let's get back on then with the race. As you can see, we've got Skycloud who went deep on the brakes on the outside. It looked like perhaps we had BaloFey getting a little bit, being a little bit cagey on the inside, and then you've got QT there fighting with Solshock at the moment. No damage on Solshock's car, ironically enough, despite causing, you would have to suggest, a slight problem. There you can see the gold has been completely obliterated from Redux's JPI car. I'm not sure that quite fits with the corporate branding, but he's gone for the black and the blue with a unicorn as well. So looking for some magical powers here to bring him forward. It's only lap 1, and there is a lot to unpack from that start. Beregoz leads Vader, leads BaloFey, and SkyCloud with Jogon Sim hanging out around in the dizzying heights of those drivers I've just mentioned. So Jogon Sim looking great here in the Delesi. I know he enjoys watching the streams back when he's had some highlights. Just wiggling through the first corner, trying to protect those soft tyres, I think. But Redux getting his soft tyres, feeling a little bit more confident on the softs at the moment, or at least on the setup he's got. Those dark clouds above do look incredibly threatening for our drivers, as Vader has picked up a penalty, a 1 second off throttle penalty. That's pretty strict at this stage of proceedings. Beregoz on the head of the field in his Mika Hakkinen helmet as always, and running on and doing a great job here. We've got SkyCloud in 4th, Jogon Sim in 5th, we've got Redux in 6th with QT and Soulshock following behind. Then we've got Scavvy, who's moved up from 12th position, I believe it was, up to 9th, with Vicinity staying around that 10th place. We've got Senor Dude in 11th, with Damage on the front running into the back of Mario, with Woe Grizzle, Yank the Tank in 13th, where he started, and Mario then at the back, having had to make a pit stop. That is going to be really problematic for him. Beregoz leads ahead of Vader, who's taken the penalty, with BaloFey now sniffing some exhaust fumes from the back of Vader's Cosworth engined Dallara chassis. Excuse me. SF23. I was just looking for the pause button and I couldn't find it, sorry, for a moment there on my streaming platform. We've got Beregoz, Vader, BaloFey. I was trying to save you from listening to me coughing and spluttering. Here comes Soulshock down the inside of QT, but it was a half-hearted attempt, I suppose, but he got out of it. But the car in front has a 2-second penalty, QT wearing a 2-second off-throttle penalty, so Soulshock doesn't need to get too activated at this stage. We'll see if he reads that correctly and just protects the tyres for a few corners here. He'll get by more than easily enough on the run through. It looks like single file racing at this stage, with Scavvy in 9th, Vicinity in 10th. You've got medium drivers still getting those tyres up to temperature on lap 3 here. Vicinity looking good in 10th place in the black and red colours of Team Mega. Of course, with the Irish flag on the back as well. Then they've got Senor Dude out there. You've got Woe Grizzle, Yank the Tank, and Mario, who obviously suffered from that early portion of the race. This looks like another little attempted move. That's SkyCloud on Jogon Sim, and Jogon Sim has actually got by SkyCloud. Let's try and find when that happened. Here it is, look. So down in towards turn 9. Excuse me, the job was already done, so we've missed what happened here. Let's go on board perhaps with Jogon Sim as we head on into turn 6 here. Oh, SkyCloud couldn't quite get the car into the corner in turn 6, got out onto the marbles through turn 7 then, still struggling to get the car turned in. Are we going to pick up a penalty or something? I think that is an off-throttle penalty, so being let by there as a result, and then SkyCloud is going to come straight back, try and get a good exit. That was a fabulous exit out of turn 10, the final corner down onto the start-finish straight away, pressuring Jogon Sim. We have a little shimmy to the inside here, just enough to put Jogon Sim off his rhythm, who goes 2 wheels off the racetrack, just saves it coming through turn 1 exit, but loses the position, and I think he's going to lose out to Redux as well, who comes firing on through, and there he goes, but picking up a half-second penalty, which may just be enough for him to hold on to that position if he can consolidate where he is, suck into the slipstream on the car in front. No DRS here, but they do have push to pass, so he can do something about this situation prior to his those penalty chevrons on the way between turn 8 and turn 9. It is lap 4 of the 53. Beregoz leading Vader with BaloFey and SkyCloud in front of this car. Redux, Jogon Sim, Soulshock and making up your top 8. Redux now setting his fastest sector for himself anyway. Beregoz with a commanding lead at this point. Redux indicating to the inside. That was the half-second penalty, and it was more than enough for Jogon Sim to get back into 5th place. But Skycloud is disappearing here ahead and just getting a wheel off into the grass there. Skycloud on the way towards that curb, the track extension curb. Jogon Sim struggling into turn 1 for the 2nd time in succession. Unfortunately, the car 60 just not quite where he wants it to be in terms of handling. But I think trying to protect the soft tyres, trying to cruise and drift through the turns instead of hammering on the throttle mid-corner, as you do obviously in qualifying, but you do need to protect those tyres as much as possible. Here is Solshock, perhaps a little red in the face, certainly red on the helmet, but red in the face after a potential jump start. And then, as I spotted early on, at least on my replay view here, and apologies if this is a lag situation, but then it's seemingly hitting the reverse gear as the start lights went out. It's Gavi in P8, up from the back, looking great here, and on the medium tyres as well. So Scabby looking very strong at this stage of proceedings. He's used a little bit of that push to pass, almost a quarter of the push to pass allowance. We've got QT in 9th, Vicinity still in 10th position on the soft tyres. I think the driver's now just waiting for the rain. And how do the clouds look overhead? Well, the helicopter is still able to fly below the cloud cover, so it's not completely obliterating this sky, but this is looking pretty threatening. At around 360 degrees of this racetrack, it looks like we are expecting some rain. So Vicinity has got Senor Dude behind him. Can we see Senor Dude coming through and out of turn 3? Just about, but there's a disappearing gap there for Vicinity to see Senor Dude further back. We've got Yank the Tank and Grizzle with Mario having changed tyres. However, if the wet or intermediate tyres are in use, no further change of compound will be required upon the drivers, but normally, of course, they do have that compound change. All 3 dry tyre sets are available to the drivers. Beregoz, lap 6 of the 53 complete. He has the fastest lap so far, which was the previous lap of 1:12.152, although we're not focused too strongly on the fastest lap given the push to pass here in the Sim Racing World Championship, the VR Sim Racing World Championship, here brought to you by SVR, and of course all of our team title sponsors, and a big thank you to all of them, and a thank you to our loyal viewership as well, who have taken the time to subscribe to the channel, share the video and like the videos whenever they take part. Don't forget though, of course, to pick up your SVR merch using the links in the video description as well. And a big thank you also to our graphic designer today for the intro video. That was Dirtbag Larry, so thank you to him. We've got Skycloud in 4th here, running behind the provisional podium, and certainly not quite living with the podium pace, but most of those drivers are on soft tyres. Vader, of course, is an alien on the mediums, but the BaloFey also on the medium tyre. Skycloud starting on that medium, but it's Beregoz away in the at the front of the race on the soft tyres, and Skycloud just stretching the limits of the track there, just trying to make the turns as wide as possible, and she has really got her eye in here and is impressing like crazy in just about every car she picks up to drive. So Skycloud is going to be something very special, I feel, in Season 3 in 2026. It's Redux in 5th place. We've got Solshock then in 6th. Jogon Sim is chasing down Solshock, but has dropped those positions to Redux and to Solshock thanks to those penalties that he paid earlier on. Unfortunately, it is lap 8 of the 53. Don't see any rain on the circuit at the moment. We won't see, of course, wipers going on in these cars or headlights going on, but we did see tail lights at the start of the race at the moment. The light above the driver's head indicates their state of charge, well, their battery state, I should say. They don't actually recharge here in the SF23s, but they have a battery allowance of push to pass. Green means they have more than 25% remaining in the car. Red means 25% or less, and of course flashing light means they are actually deploying at the current time. If the bright red overtake button indicator on the bottom right of the screen didn't give it away for us, Scabby, but it helps the drivers to look in their mirror and see that their rival behind is deploying at any given time. You've got Scabby and Vicinity closing in here. Well, I was giving all that information, but that light wasn't actually flashing when the button was being held. Vicinity then looking good and using the push to pass here, getting tucked up underneath for that last little bit of slipstream. Vicinity using the overtake though to help him here move forward. About 80% of his push to pass remaining as he navigates that turn 3, but it was a little bit pedestrian going through the corner. Overly cautious perhaps, but yeah, I think maybe a little bit late on the brakes there. Perhaps we'll have another little look at that manoeuvre from off-board. He was already well ahead, but yeah, it just looked like he was just a little bit late on the brakes, and Scabby walking on by back through again. So Vicinity having to do the work all over again. We have behind these two, Yank the Tank and Grizzle, almost together, not quite, but pretty close. And then we'll have the last two drivers, the rearmost of whom is Mario. But Mario's actually catching the driver behind, which no, Mario has passed Senor Dude. So Senor Dude has shed his starting tyres already and switched on, I think, to a new set of mediums here. We'll see if Vicinity can close in momentarily, but just ahead of this group we have got almost a three-way battle. Joe Gonsim is still with Soul Shock and looking very good on it as well. In the Delesi, I think Joe just suffering a little bit of inconsistency, especially through that turn 1, but he's definitely got the speed, having started up into, I think it was 5th position if memory serves me correctly, certainly 4th or 5th position anyway. Looking good on the soft tyres, halfway through their wear patch, or even more really through their usable life, and he's put in a fastest first sector. Went a little bit wide going through turn 3, because yes, that strange left-hand kink going down the first big straight is classed as turn 2. Running through 4 and 5, which is kind of a double right-hander really, and into now 6. Small gap, short shoot as it were, into 7. That was QT getting a little bit wide. I hope QT didn't pick up a penalty. Ouch, that is rough. 2.5 seconds for QT, going just a metre or so wide from that group. And it looks like we've got a battle brewing here for Woke Grizzle and Yank the Tank. Beregoz still leads Vader and BaloFey at the head of the field, and actually they're not far away. They're less than a sector away from catching the drivers at the rear of this S1 field. Of course, the top 14 qualifiers in the Formula cars, at the pre-season qualification rounds, we've had some drivers join us late. Skycloud perhaps the most notable of them, but yeah, the 14 fastest drivers at the start of this season who wanted to drive a Formula car, an open wheeler, although I guess we should call them Formula cars because ANs aren't typically actually open wheel at all. But Woke Grizzle getting that slipstream, getting excited I think at this point at the prospect of making an overtake on our favourite comedy streamer, Mr. Yank the Tank. Bestie Mario 13th, Senor Dude 14th. Back to Beregoz though, who needs to look after these soft tyres, because if he was expecting the rain to come, it certainly hasn't come quickly enough at this point. It was absolutely drenched in the S2 race. How have the drivers here managed to avoid so much rain at this point of the race? If memory serves me correctly, it was wet, dry, wet to almost dry in the S2 race, and the drivers have managed to go the first tyre stint so far anyway for the soft tyre runners in on the with no rain whatsoever. Looked like Vader getting a little bit throttle happy there on the exit out of turn 3, which is uncharacteristic in a league race. If you've ever raced with him casually, you know he is always on or just over the limit, but in a league race, certainly in 2025, Vader has been almost perfect, and has managed to find just the perfect balance of risk versus reward, which of course only the very best drivers do. BaloFey in 3rd position, Skycloud in 4th, and then we've got a little bit of a interesting battle here. Redux 5th, Soulshock 6th, and then Jogon Sim in that triplicate of drivers racing and fighting over P5, as it were. A little bit further back, we have got Scavvy. I think Joe's about to drop off that battle, unfortunately. Scavvy in 8th vicinity, in 9th place, and then Yenk and Woke Grizzle still very close on the track map. Not quite as close as perhaps the track map makes it look. We have a driver into the pit lane. I will see who that actually is. It's Jogon Sim who's getting off the soft tyres. Remember now, the Delesi squad have probably got a similar setup going on. They both started on the soft tyre. Joe in, now down to 11th place. Beregoz, his teammate, still out there at the head of our field. There is Joe, going to come out of the field, out of the pit lane, and he's going to be close, if not right with QT. This is QT's view of it, as you've got a car going slow out of the pit lane. Something to watch here is that pit lane, especially if we get any moisture on the racetrack. It certainly looked like there was something approximating a glitch or some horrible grip situation coming on through. And there is Beregoz coming into the pit lane, and I don't think that this is quite what he had planned out. Obviously he's leading the race, which is great for him and for Delesi, but the soft tyre is not usually a viable race tyre unless you're expecting rain to come very quickly in that race. So Beregoz down to 4th place. Vader looking pretty wide, pushing very hard at this stage. He has the fastest lap of anybody so far at 1:12.0. I think that Beregoz had a 12.1, so it was very close between the two of them. Skycloud now up to 2nd place, dropping BaloFey. My apologies, it looks like we've missed that overtake, Skycloud on Boloday, and that was a long time ago given the gap between the two, unless there was some sort of penalty out there for BaloFey. Beregoz now out of the pit lane into 4th place, so at very least he won't lead every single lap of today's race. Beregoz in 4th, we've got Soulshock in 5th place. There's a long distance between the two Coach Dave cars at this point. You've got Senor Dude at the tail of the field, you've got Vader at the front, which is kind of how it should be, I suppose. We did see the race teams to have one from the top, one from the bottom of the respective groupings, but generally speaking, the faster drivers lift the pace of those around them. I should absolutely attest to that, because my team leader has definitely raised my pace. But unfortunately, even his superpowers haven't been able to lift me recently, as I've had a significant drop-off in performance lately. Scavvy in 5th place, Soulshock in the pits. We've got Yank the Tank in 7th, Woke Grizzle following him behind here in Brokagas, newly liveried with their Dunder Mifflin sponsor on the front wing. I wonder how much they got paid for that, or whether it was purely paper supplies that the team run on as a partnership rather than a direct sponsorship deal. If you do want to become a sponsor of either my channel or SVR, do get in touch with us. We are obviously open to new sponsorships, either for the streams, for a specific race, or for a title team badge, as all of our teams have done this year. So do get in touch with us, as we deliver great value to our sponsors and a lot of airtime. Team Mega here from Mega Transport, who are running at the moment in P12 with Vicinity in P3 with BaloFey, looking very good out there. And then we've got Bedsty Mario in 13th place, Senor Dude right out on the very limit. Those are Vader lines if ever I've seen them from Senor Dude, with great confidence at the moment. Some clear patches in the sky right now. Senor Dude running through. This hasn't really gone to plan, but he started on the soft tyres. He's onto the medium tyres now, and his teammate Vader is entering kind of going through turn 5. He's entering turn 6 while his teammate is heading for turn 9 at the moment, but there's actually not a great deal of distance between those runs. We've got a driver who has spun. Oh, it's Jogon Sim, and it's through turn 1 again. Jogon Sim, unfortunately, what happened here Not under pressure from behind. He's certainly focusing on the car in front, and just the possibly cold rear tyres, but unfortunately just going out of shape there for Joe. He's taking his pit stop, and unfortunately, just running back down there, kicking up a whole load of dirt and grass, and dropping down to 13th place. So we currently have very quick drivers for Delesi and for Coach Dave. Now there's a yellow flag in front here. That was another problem then. This is Solshock. Wow, that looks like a potential issue. This is Solshock coming round. Oh, it's just traction oversteer for Solshock, and he's hit the wall, and I think is then waiting for his clear opportunity to rejoin the race. He obviously engaged reverse for the. This is engaging reverse for the second time, I think. Rather than equipment failure, this is Solshock being incredibly fair to the drivers around him. This is Senor Dude, though, going for a manoeuvre, having a shape to the inside here of Joe, tries to squeeze him, and then there's a fairly inevitable pinch point into turn 4 through turn 5. Joe Gonsim hanging on though around the outside of those two turns to gain the inside into turn 6. Looks like Senor Dude able to just about reach something approximating an apex, but Joe Gonsim handling that one nicely after having a problem, but slow through 7 and 8. Let's see if Senor Dude can capitalise here on what will be a even more nervous Joe as he approaches that turn 1 where things went awry on the previous lap. Senor Dude would have been thinking earlier on at the start of this race that his race was run and done for because he was dead last, but now here he is fighting to try and get 12th place. And there is Joe, unfortunately, having another problem going through turn 1, very much the bête noire. The bogey turn here for Joe, that turn 1. The Senor Dude goes through. Does he hang on? Oh, that's such a wide line into turn 3, and it hasn't really paid off. Surely he'll have to yield here, and he does so. Feathers the throttle to just about allow Joe to squeeze through, but then he mashes his foot back down to the bulkhead to try and get that slipstream. Wider line on entry, narrower, earlier throttle line on exit, and Senor Dude continues to pile huge pressure on Joe Gonsim, and you have to say that pressure, it has been showing from time to time for Joe, but that turn 1 has definitely been a problem. It's Vader leads, Skycloud and BaloFey. I think Beregoz is in 4th place as well, all things being equal and as they were before. Looks like we've got a possible change for position going on here. That's Beregoz on BaloFey. I think BaloFey looks like he's just allowed him through. Presumably his engineer letting him know, that was very easy. Now there's fresher tyres for sure on Beregoz, but I think BaloFey has let him by. I'm not trying to make excuses for BaloFey here as Team Mega affiliate as I am, but that did look a little bit too easy on the entry to the corner. I think BaloFey, his engineer, has just said, basically, you're in a different race. There's no need to lose time for yourself here on this manoeuvre. So Beregoz back to 3rd, definitely, well, I was going to say definitely within pit stop range of Vader, but Vader has extended here, and Beregoz is going to lose time making passes on BaloFey and Skycloud, but they have used, Beregoz has used the soft and the medium tyre. We will see. Let's join him on board and just check what the sky is doing at the moment. It still looks dark, it still looks ominous and threatening, but no sign yet of any rain. I think we saw the slightest little flash in the air there, but no. Skycloud is struggling on her tyres right now, and Beregoz is feeling pretty confident. I think Hakimi's livery looking absolutely beautiful out there. Some slight tweaks have been applied, and post-Pride season, and we've got the Progress Pride flag on the barge board there of Skycloud's car. Beregoz clearing through. You can just see the Progress Pride barge board, or sort of leading edge of the floor, and the rainbow on the camera cover there on the front. New changes to the front wing angle, and this gold to purple colour change paint scheme as well for the Kimi's car. One of the big neutral fan favourite liveries, you have to say, for the season. The Kimi's racing team, of course, sponsored by Kimi's Preschool, where the next generation of sim racers are currently being trained and indoctrinated, I should say. Hopefully listening to races during nap time. I need to get an update from Kim on that one. Scabby in 5th place. It's lap 20 of the 53. Let's take stock. It's Vader, Beregoz, Skycloud, BaloFey and Scabby, your top 5. Scabby and Yank the Tank up from the back of the grid, obviously running longer on the tyres, but still great for Buxton Transport Service in 5th and 6th position when they started 12th and 13th. Well, Grizzle is 7th. He was right at the very back of the grid, whether he did or didn't qualify, but certainly started the race at the very back, and he is in 7th place. You've got Redux in 8th, QT in 9th place. Vicinity has now put the soft tyres on, so I guess my expectations were completely awry. Looks like the soft and mediums are the tyres to be on in dry conditions today. Bestie Mario is in 11th place, running out of turn 3 at the moment. The number 53 runs in 11th after hitting Soul Shock and being hit from behind in the pinball action at the very start of our grid start today. Jogod Sib, is in 12th position. Has had plenty of drama and has managed to keep Senor Dude behind him here. Senor Dude has now got a half-second penalty to pay next time he goes past those chevrons, which is in 2 corners time. Senor Dude is in 13th. Soul Shock, having made his pit stop and come out on what I think to be a second set of medium tyres, is in 14th position. Now, it's an interesting situation for our drivers. Vader at the front here, of course. If they were expecting rain and just the randomised weather pattern that race control gives out has resulted in no rain, I wonder if the drivers were prepared with a fully dry strategy in mind, or if they are just calling it on the hoof. Perhaps you'd like to leave a comment and tag me at WebORed5 for to let me know in the comments what the situation was, because as far as my information was concerned, everybody was expecting this to be at least partially wet race, but then they're having to make these extra plans. Skycloud and BaloFey in 3rd and 4th position, a reasonable gap, maybe 3 seconds between the two of them at the moment. Skycloud and BaloFey both on their starting medium tyres. Scabby has come into the pits. He has run out of nothing. He's actually fine on both tyres and fuel, but he's splitting the race after the 21st lap. So maybe going to use 2 sets of medium tyres and a set of softs, 21, 42, and then presumably 11 laps of run on the softs. I imagine that's probably the pattern here, medium, medium, soft, or medium, soft, medium, of course. Jogon Sim goes forward into P10. He's on his second set of tyres, so he's picked up those positions. We do have, as we do in the championship, a very, very close battle then. In the midfield, what is going on there for Senor Dude? What a bizarre situation. Let's have a look as he goes down the start-finish line. He is heading in towards turn 1, goes wide as he's used to doing. All normal, just offline, and then almost wiping out the driver who just pitted. Manages to avoid some damage there, backing the car into the corner, looking for a clean opportunity to get away. But it was only, I would say, half a metre off the racing line on the exit of the corner, and the car just snapped away from him. And that, for me, is the frightening thing about these SF23s, which is one of the reasons I am not in the slightest bit jealous that I drive an AN instead of these cars, because wow, that really let go on him in a very spectacular way for the slightest of racing line infractions there. Not even infraction really, just a slight miscalculation, but wow, did that car get away from him. It is Yank the Tank in 12th, Soul Shock in 11th, just ahead of him here on track. Looks like the closest battle on the grid at the moment. This Red Bull ring often produces great overtakes, but can also spread the field, and that seems to be the situation at current time. We have got some nice close battles have suddenly developed on the grid. This is Senor Dude in 14th, excuse me, sniffing on the mic. Senor Dude in 14th with Mario in 13th place. We've also got a battle going on at the moment. That's Vader right now. Let's try and find you this one. This is Woe Grizzle and QT. QT on newer medium tyres, but by no means are they actually new. And wow, that was, again, very easy for QT against Woe Grizzle. Looks like Woe Grizzle has perhaps gone a lap too long on these medium tyres, although by my eye they look okay. I think perhaps just overprotective, overcautious into turn 4 and 5. And speaking of that, we've got another situation then, very, very close drivers here, Soulshock and Yank the Tank, as Yank is on the soft tyres, loving life out there, I'm sure, for this couple of laps here on the soft tyre, lowish fuel, going for what I imagine to be a medium soft medium, or even medium soft soft, but I think the former is the most likely if we stay dry for the remainder of the race. We haven't even reached halfway point yet of RS1 9th round of the season, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, and a personal best lap then for Yank the Tank. Further up the grid, we look like we've got some close action. It's Redux on Woe Grizzle now. Woe Grizzle is dropping like a stone through the order, but Redux has a 1.5 second penalty to pay, so he may go for the overtake, but he will lose the position. Vicinity from 10th is up to 8th place. Woe Grizzle looking very slow out of that corner. I think where it is very low grip, he's obviously having to be very cautious, missing the apex, just not quite getting the turn in ability. Tries to turn into 7, but there's a car on his inside. Redux walking on by, but unfortunately for him, he will now pay a hefty penalty and lose positions to both Woe Grizzle and Vicinity, who go through. So Vicinity looking good out there. He's on a soft tyres now, but he's been on those quite a while. So waiting, I think, to put his final set of tyres on. But if he wants to two-stop this at his tyre wear rate today, it looks like it's going to have to be a set of hards. So I imagine this is going to be a 3-stopper, because if the soft tyres are in play today, I can't imagine that the hard tyres are. So it's kind of one of those situations where there is one bad tyre and 2 usable tyres, and usually it's the medium and hards, but here at the Red Bull Ring it doesn't seem to be the usual state of affairs. And forgive me, I've obviously been out of the pocket in the build-up, so I don't really know anything about what's going on strategically wise. Here comes Vicinity down the inside of Woe Grizzle into that turn 4. Eyes left, looking at where he will find that Brokaga. Similar styles of livery, Brokaga and Team Mega. Slightly thinner design, thinner trim lines on the Team Mega car, but it's black with red instead of black with green. And Vicinity ahead into P6, and that's as high as he has been so far this race, having already of course made his first pit stop. So it won't be long before Vicinity is back in the pit lane, but at the moment up to P6, and that is very good for Team Mega. Well, Grizzle pits now, so Team Mega, just to complete that thought, 4th and 6th place at the moment, the highest placed teammates right now, because we've got Coach Dave with Vader, we've got Delesi with Beregoz, we've got Kimmy's with Skycloud, and we've got Yamplact with QT and Redux. So it's actually quite close between Yamplact and Team Mega at the moment in terms of best team placings for this 9th round of the season. This has been a tremendous season, and long may it continue. The sky looks to be getting darker, or do my eyes deceive me as they run through turn 4? Ugh, I mean, I hope we get some rain for the neutral's sake here today, but I don't know if we will or not. Yank the Tank in 10th place. That was Joe we saw there in 9th as well, with Soulshock in 11th. Mario, a quiet race from Soulshock so far after lap 1 anyway, and Mario in 12th. We've got Grizzle in 13th on a brand new set of stickered soft tyres, and Senor Dude, a nice close battle there for the minor placings here in this race, but the drivers will continue to battle incredibly hard, so that this should be plenty of entertainment then. This is Soulshock in 11th, Mario, Grizzle and Senor Dude not far behind this group as well. We have managed to condense the field very nicely indeed, but at the head of the field, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Vader ahead of Beregoz. And I just want to check on those gaps at the moment. I think that Vader is within a pit stop distance back to Beregoz. Let's have a look then. Senor Dude at the back at the moment. This is Vader then at the head of the field, and Beregoz on the same straightaway. So I think that he is vulnerable. Skycloud now pits. How are Skycloud's tyres looking? Well, probably about 20% left on the grip. Vader is more marginal on his front tyres and also on that rear left than Skycloud was. So Vader is certainly walking the tightrope right now on these tyres. But as we know, he is able to force levitate and to ease off the weight and G-forces that go through the tyres. Just the unfair advantage of being a Sith Lord, I'm afraid. But obviously it comes with selling your soul. But it's clearly something that Vader is more than happy to engage in. He is now catching a Kimmy's Racing driver who I'm sure is Soul Shock, to put a lap on Soul Shock, saving him a lap. Oh, that sounded a little bit squirrely from Vader as he declined the pit lane at the end of lap 28. He's just feeling the tyres now. I wonder if Vader is thinking, actually, that's getting a little bit close. Just went a little bit quiet there to try and hear if the tyres were going to say no to Vader. Let's stay with him. Do hope I haven't got my audio wrong here. I've just looked at my audio levels, and I'm not super happy with that. I'm just going to knock the game audio down a little bit, so I apologise if that is the case. Vader then doesn't look like he's struggling. Look at the smooth action on the steering wheel from Lord Vader here, who has been leading our season throughout the course of this great. And there, yes, you can see that issue going through turn 1 gave him enough of a warning, and he's paying attention to it. 37 litres of fuel remain on the car. That should mean that Beregoz manages to get back into the lead of this race, and we will see then how the tyre strategies work out. Does Vader decide to use the softs now? Does he decide to use them later on? What's clear to me is you are not able, I think, to get a set of softs home from here. Even Vader, I don't think, could do 23 laps on the softs. You could get a set of mediums home from here, I would imagine, given that Vader's managed to do 29 complete laps and have a little bit of spare grip left. Vader then out of the pit lane, definitely behind Beregoz, and there are 4 cars in between the two of them. So Beregoz in a great place right now. If you can keep those 4 cars between them, that is going to be an interesting situation. Vader then drops back behind the lapped cars, who are all together, which includes his teammates Senor Dude here in 14th, and the Battle Pack, which includes Grizzle, Mario, Vicinity now out, I think, on his final set of medium tyres, so forgive me, but there are only 24 laps remaining, so there's a little bit of management to do. I think Vicinity hasn't quite got the tyre whispering down to the level of a Sith Lord, but certainly is not a super aggressive driver on his tyres. So he's in P11, but I think should be. Well, I say this, I'm now gabbling, I think, because while I think he's got tyres to the end, that's a concern that he hasn't got fuel to the end of the race here at this stage, so we shall see. But he's got a similar set of fuel as Mario behind him. Soul Shock, Jogon Sim, Yank the Tank as we move up the grid at the moment. We've got BaloFey on his soft tyre stint at the moment. They're in 4th place. Skycloud on the hard. Skycloud did go for the hard tyres, and it looks like she is fueled to a finish, so I would imagine then if you're going to fit the hard tyres at this stage of proceedings that you're expecting to go through to the end. Lap 31 for Skycloud, and she appears to have the same amount of fuel as Vicinity had and many other drivers around, so that should be the right calculation for at least to get you to the end of the 53rd and final lap. This is Skycloud running then in P3, qualifying P4 if memory serves correctly, but wow, what a strong driver we have on our hands here, and perhaps things would be a little bit different if Sky Cloud had been able to focus on one division from the very start of the season. But she has won in every car. If I'm not incorrect here, but I believe Sky Cloud has won every car we race, every classification that we race, and the 117 certainly looking very good out there. Although you have to say, at the moment the pace is not quite there because she's on the hard tyres to BaloFey's softs. BaloFey putting in a 12.3 there for a moment to a 13.7, 13.8 from Sky Cloud. So I think we're going to have a challenge here for the podium, provisional podium positions, but of course BaloFey will have to stop again. He's almost halfway worn through his soft tyre stint, and it's only lap 32. So how much information Sky Cloud will have available to her at this stage depends on how clued in Hector is about the tyre selections of drivers around. I don't know if we have strictly prohibited the lying to Hector as to what tyre compound you are on, but it is possible for the drivers to do that. Hector not quite intelligent enough just yet to be able to actually deduce or know the set of tyres that drivers are on. I think that's probably down to the fact that Gran Turismo doesn't issue that information, but BaloFey will have an inkling that he's suddenly got a pace advantage on old tyres ahead of Sky Cloud. I think if Sky Cloud was on mediums, I don't think BaloFey would be quite this strong at this wear rate. So regardless, he's going to give it a go. Here he is, pressing the overtake button, shaping to the inside on the approach, on the uphill approach. You can brake ferociously late into the corner. Sky Cloud still looking very smooth, and BaloFey either declining that opportunity or not quite with the level of confidence that Sky Cloud has into the corner. Could be a combination of both factors. Looking down the inside, Sky Cloud leaving plenty of room through turn 3 and able to plant the foot firmly down to accelerate out of turn 3. BaloFey biding his time, going to the inside. Sky Cloud certainly not defending hard to the inside, allowing the move, trying to claim that traction zone that is all important going through turn 4 and 5. That then means that Sky Cloud should have the inside, but BaloFey just pulsing the finger, I think, on the overtake button and getting ahead of Sky Cloud. But I think roles might well still reverse themselves between these two before the end of the race. BaloFey, of course, going for championship positions here. Sky Cloud going for individual race results at this point in the season. And of course bragging rights as well, although I don't think I've ever heard Sky Cloud brag. But BaloFey in P3 now, at least for Team Mega, but certainly expecting another pit stop still to come. Vader has cleared one of those cars, two of those cars that he had between himself and Beregoz at the moment, but then he has, I think, Vicinity in front of him right now. There is Beregoz, who is extending his lead. It looks like Vader has just been able to clear Vicinity, who've got well out of the way, possibly even to his own disadvantage there. I think we're going to have Vicinity under threat from Wogrizzle as a result of moving aside to such a great extent on the way out of turn 7 through turn 8. It certainly looked like he went very wide to accommodate one of the race leaders. Vicinity, obviously a very sporting driver, but team bosses might question whether he ought to not quite leave himself quite so vulnerable to the car behind Vicinity on his medium tyres, although Wogrizzle is working through that soft tyre stint at the moment. Lap 34 of 53. Beregoz leading ahead of one car in between himself and Vader at this point, and the car in front, actually the Brokaga, has used more than 75% of his push to pass allocation. Still waiting to see if we get any of that rain that plagued the S2 race. This is a fascinating situation. There's Vader going very wide. I hope that was off throttle. Certainly didn't capitalise on being that far wide. He may well pick up a penalty for going quite so off the circuit, but of course nobody knows track limits quite like Vader. And around the outside of turn 9, that was very nicely done for Vader. He's got great grip on these soft tyres for now, but I think we'll have to stop again, as I'm expecting Beregoz to have to do as well before the end of our race. Still, there are, I think, 18 racing laps to go. Skycloud in 4th and has been dropped by BaloFey, but her target here at this stage, I think, is simply going to be to stay within a pit stop window of BaloFey's Team Mega SF23. We've got QT in 5th, and then Redux in 7th. Small gap from Redux in 6th. Small gap back to Scabby, who then leads his teammate Yank the Tank. Just a reminder, they started 12th and 13th place, back up to 6th and 7th at the moment. Scabby and Yank the Tank, and then we have Jogon Sim in P9 for Delesi at this stage. Soul Shock. And then into the pits comes Yank the Tank for his final pit stop, I would suggest. This is Jogon Sim then in P8, and Soul Shock running through to overtake Yank as well. Betsy Mario, I think, will be able to get Yank, who's in the pits as well right now. Looks like Yank on the soft tyres didn't go super light on the fuel, and that is well, it's certainly a choice that you make. Obviously, you lose out on your optimal speed on the soft tyres. You put a little bit more weight and G-force through those soft tyres than you absolutely have to. But won't be it for me to question our top division drivers' strategies here. It's Vicinity in 12th position on a newish set of mediums, certainly ready to get home here in the 42 for Team Mega, and hoping then that the drivers all in front of him, within this sector at least, all pit before the end of the proceedings, and he can get himself a top 8 finish, potentially starting, I think it was 10th for Vicinity. Senior Dude at the very back of the grid at the moment, his teammate Vader in 2nd place, but we have now Beregoz with this slightly taxing situation of having to run through and overtake all of the drivers. Now, Beregoz has used the softs and the mediums once each, including this stint right now. He won't need the hard tyres before the end like Skycloud has gone for, but will he be able to get to a point where he can use the softs once again on very low fuel and then be pretty quick and go soft, medium, soft? That will be a very, very aggressive strategy then for the Delesi driver, who is tied at the head of our championship, of course, with Vader here on screen. And it's great to see these two drivers really continuing to battle head to head through the course. It'll be even better if they were on the same strategy for this race, but because we haven't seen them actually go for a fair fight between the two of them on the circuit, certainly in this race anyway. Current fastest lap of the race sits with Vader, a 1:10.851, pretty astonishing pace using the push to pass, of course. Hasn't saved a great deal of push to pass for the end of the race, but he saved a little bit more than Beregoz, who now pits at the end of lap 38. And I wonder if that means that he feels that his tyre window is now very much open for the end of our race. Vader, I think, will go medium, soft, soft. No doubt at all in my mind that will be the strategy, but will Beregoz be able to use the softs to the end of this race? It is 14 laps from the finish. That's on the outside edge of what the soft tyres can do, I would have to assume. He has elected for the soft tyres. Beregoz, here he comes out of the pit lane, so we could well have ourselves a strong close finish between the two as their strategies collide here. We've got BaloFey quite a large distance now away from those two great drivers at the head of the field, Beregoz and Vader, but BaloFey in 3rd place, very low on his tyres. So low, in fact, I'm going to stay with the Team Mega driver because I have to say, fingers crossed here that those tyres don't let go on him on these traction zones. You can hear the engine note rising. Suddenly you'll hear that engine note go up if the adhesion to the race surface suddenly stops on those rear tyres. He's not taking it easy on those outside curbs either on the way through, and he's feeling pretty confident, I think, but I would expect the end of lap 39 is the right time to come in because those tyres are looking very, very low in the amount of rubber on them at the moment. Running through turns 7 and 8, short shoot down to turn 9. We'll see if he ducks over to the right. He doesn't have to because he hasn't got other drivers around him, but yes, into the pit lane. Wow, that was very close. The car didn't really want to do what he asked it to do. It looks like Skycloud then will get into 3rd position, running out wide. Within the track limit allowance though, Skycloud going through and into 3rd place then, Skycloud on the hard tyres. So it's going to be a soft tyre BaloFey, I would anticipate here, chasing down Skycloud, who has just got past teammate, no, just got past Senior Dude, I think that is, teammate of Vader. BaloFey waiting for his tyre change to happen. There is Vader into the pit lane then with 23 litres of fuel remaining on the car. BaloFey comes out of the pits. He has gone on to the soft tyres. This means that Beregoz will be coming through. He has just passed the Kimmys Racing team driver for a lapping phase, and Beregoz then will pass Vader, and Beregoz on the soft tyres with just under 25% fuel remaining. There you can just see Vader exiting the pit lane. He's also on the soft tyres. We do have a nice close battle between the two of them. He's also got Joe Consim right behind him. Joe could do a big favour to his teammate here and dive down the inside to try and quote-unquote unlap himself, at least hold up Vader, but he doesn't do that. Of course he doesn't do that. That would be devious, terrible team tactics. It's seen only in the likes of the movies. Beregoz in first, Vader in second. They've got a driver between the two of them at the moment. That is the Kimmys Racing team driver, who I believe is going to be Solshock. Is it? It's difficult for me to tell at this stage, but Beregoz then will be aware that Vader is not far away, and he needs to then just be pretty careful on these tyres. He's really pushing them hard at the moment to pass these other rivals here. Not really rivals, I suppose, people who happen to be in the same geography as him on the day of racing. The only real rival Beregoz has at this point on this day and in this championship is Vader himself. Here comes Beregoz to flash by Redux in the Amplact Interiors car, and does so straddling that yellow sausage curb on the exit of the corner, and puts 2 cars between himself and his title rival. Vader in second will be watching this, and unfortunately for Vader, those 2 title rivals in front those 2 rivals in front of him, excuse me, at the back of the grid are now fighting with each other. So a big area of threat for him. They both get blue flags, but they won't be paying as much attention to those as if they were on their own. Oh, Vader! Oh, that was a big snap from Vader. You can tell that Vader is definitely eager to get by these two and catch Beregoz, of course, and make a real fight of this. There are now 3 cars in between Vader and Beregoz. Let's maybe try and find out who those drivers are, because we're talking about them a lot here. It's there's Redux, there's Vicinity going around the outside of Redux, and you've also got another lapped car. I think that is Vader behind. So it's Solshock, Vicinity, and Redux. This 3 cars in between the leaders here. Vicinity round the outside of Redux to take P9 provisionally. Definitely hoping for a top 8, I think, at this point. But he now manages to get to a situation where Vader will have to be yielded from Redux, but Redux is trying to take that place back once again. Vicinity shapes to the inside, defends hard, but Redux has a better run, and then Vicinity gets the rear of the car nibbled away by Vader, who was much quicker on the newer soft tyres through the corner. Vader could end up taking his own front wing off here if he's too impatient. Swipes to the inside. Excuse me, takes, puts that lap on Vicinity there. Vicinity, I'm sure, feeling like he was reminded in a rather physical manner from Vader that he ought to yield. But Redux was obviously trying to make the overtake at the same time. Vader gets through and past, and Vicinity has dropped back slightly now from Redux, who's on his soft tyres to the end. He won't necessarily know that, Vicinity, but he'll be feeling like 9th or possibly 8th is possible today. There goes Vader down the inside of Redux. That will slow Redux, and it also slows Vader, who's very, very marginal on the exit of turn 1. Redux is, well, I think he's just trying to use the slipstream here of Vader, but certainly a concern in the mirrors of the Dark Lord of the Sith, as the all-black with blue accents Redux gets a lot out of the dirty air from the former race leader and co-championship leader at the moment, Vader, who moves himself forward into that position. The next target will be Soul Shock here in 7th. I think that has cost Vader a lot to get through, because Yank the Tank is there, and actually that is leader Beregoz, so Yank has got blue flags. Beregoz dives down the inside through turn 9, between turns 9 and 10. Oof, that was, our leaders are having to really take chances here, and Beregoz now resumes having 2 cars between himself and Vader. It is looking like a disappearing opportunity for Vader to take the win today. 44 lap started of the 53, 10 to go, including the one that they are on. QT is in 5th place, and there is the leader Beregoz behind him, and then we've got BaloFey in 4th, Skycloud in 3rd place. Is that BaloFey behind, or is that somebody else? That is a Coach Dave car of, I'm assuming it is Senor Dude there, and this is Vader then, having cleared the Kimmy's Racing Team driver Soul Shock, a veteran of our league. Soul Shock, Vader very wide going through turn 6, especially the exit, stealing a little on the apex of turn 8. He's pushing a Laquelle, and there he is then, getting a half-second penalty for one of those off-track moments over the curb line. You can run on the red and white curb with 2 wheels. I think you have to keep them on the curb, and I think he didn't between turn 6 and 7. Certainly the exit of 6 was perhaps the most marginal. Steering clear of that yellow curb on the apex of turn 1, fully using the yellow curb on the exit of turn 1. So he obviously knows his way around very, very well. But the gap to Beregoz in front is a car plus 2 or 3 seconds, and the laps are ticking by. Vader clears that car now, but it is slow progress through the corner, and he's got a half-second penalty to pay for the infraction on the previous lap. So Vader facing an uphill battle. I know that the track goes uphill and downhill to the same degree because it's a circuit, but you take my meaning when I mean an uphill battle here. He's certainly got a challenge in front of him, and that's what we want for Vader. We don't want it to be as easy as it has been in previous rounds of the championship. Lap 46 of 53, Beregoz leading by what looks to be 4 or 5 seconds now, and about to put another lap on a driver here. There is the blue flag being waved for its QT in the Yamplacht with the gold nose. So QT then starts his 47th lap of the 53, and he's in a great position here to the finish. The only thing is that his tyres, he had to fit those soft tyres a lap earlier than Vader. He didn't have to, but he chose to do that and fitted those soft tyres 1 lap earlier than Vader, who may still have some pace at the end of the race relative to Beregoz, but can he get himself close enough to make the difference? Here comes Beregoz coming down. Well, he's already cleared the driver, so it was QT being more than fair on the way through, and I'm sure the QT will pay the same amount of care and attention to Vader as he comes through. 1:11.2 is Beregoz's best time. A 1:10.2 is now BaloFey's best time and everybody's best time of the session so far. So I think Vader had a 1:10.8. So clearly BaloFey using that overtake button at this point as he chases down Skycloud. Skycloud is in 3rd. BaloFey can see Skycloud down the same straightaway, but again, it looks more distant perhaps than Beregoz to Vader. Skycloud on the hard tyres will have very consistent handling of the car through to the end of the race. BaloFey's will of course have peaked and now be heading towards the trough of the pace. So 1:11.7 the last 2 laps for BaloFey. Skycloud 13.5, 13.6. That is a significant difference in pace levels. So Skycloud will have to be relying on her gap that she's built up. It's well within, if there is a 2-second gap between the 2 drivers per lap, then BaloFey is going to walk this onto the podium. Vader is not walking. Vader is stretching the racetrack like crazy at the moment from Beregoz. It's lap 48 of the 53 now. Can see his target in front of him. Vader setting a 1:11.3 to Beregoz's 1:11.9. And that is frightening. So with Beregoz and his pace, and he is pushing, but also trying to manage the tyre to the end, Vader is pushing hard. He knows, of course, that he's got a lap in hand at least of Beregoz in terms of tyre wear. 4 laps to go for the end of this one, as Beregoz is in that first position. I say 4, it's actually just under 5 laps to go. Skycloud ahead of BaloFey with, I think that's vicinity in between them. Yank the Tank in 5th, Scavy in 6th place. What a strong performance from Bergstein today. Scavy in 6th and Soulshock in 7th. Jogon Sim in 8th place. Lots of fairly large gaps then, well, reasonable gaps, larger than they have been earlier on at the tail of the field. Redux in 9th, Vicinity in 10th place, has lost out to Redux, and I think perhaps has stopped dreaming at this point of a P8. We've got Mario in 11th. The rain hasn't shown up yet. It could still, I suppose. Woe Grizzle in 12th, QT in 13th place there, and then Senor Dude at the back in 14th. But eyes on the battles for the podium here at the moment. There is Beregoz running through and Vader. Now Vader has been more ragged than Beregoz, has picked up more penalties on screen at least here than Beregoz to the end of the race. For the preceding part of this race anyway. But can Vader just keep it under control? Then we've got BaloFey in 3rd place, who is 2 sectors of the racetrack behind the top 2. That is absolutely alarming, the difference. Skycloud has dropped that podium, and I think has also damaged the car. We need to see what happened, and my apologies to Skycloud for this, but quite how that happened. Here we go. This was it contact between the 2 of them, I wonder? As they run down in towards turn 9, she lost the position running through. She's gone wide. Oh no, she lost the position and then lost the car on the exit in the dirty air, unfortunately, and has of course dropped the car, damaged the suspension, damaged the rear wing, and there's not much we can do from that point on. Skycloud dropping to 4th. BaloFey though with a clean overtake prior. Just, I guess, a slight miscalculation, but the hard tyres just not giving the grip that Skycloud was expecting on the exit of turn 10 in the dirty air, and a spinella into the barrier, and I'm sorry to say, but BaloFey up to 3rd place for Team Mega, and we have 5 different teams in the top 5, which is tremendous to see. How has Yank the Tank got into 5th? I do not understand. How has Vader picked up a 1-second penalty? It's probably pushing the track limit situation again. Let's have a look. Is it through turn 1? We were slightly wide there, and then pretty strongly wide going through the exit of turn 1, and I think that is sufficient. Then bang, 1 second off throttle. Is that the end of our battle for the provisional win here, potentially for Vader? I wonder. We've obviously seen the end of our battle for 3rd position, I believe. BaloFey coming through turn 9. Oh, Skycloud. That car is significantly damaged, and Skycloud loses out then once again. And I think on her own, unfortunately, looks like the hard tyres very much not the tyre to be on. But of course, we've also got that factor of, and there is the penalty being paid by Vader, dropping off the throttle, and the gap then opening as you would expect as the 50th lap comes to a close. The 51st lap will begin here for Vader, and has already done so for Beregoz. By my estimations, that is a 3.5 to 4 second gap between Beregoz and Vader, with 3 laps just under left to run. This is a tremendously difficult task for Vader. We've already seen a chink in the armour of the performance here of Vader. Looks like Beregoz has managed to harness the light side of the Force, which we all know is stronger than the dark. But Vader being able then to look through his halo, he can see his target. He knows he's got a small tyre advantage over the car in front, but the more he abuses those track limits, the harder he pushes, the worse and smaller that tyre delta is going to be. You can see Beregoz has got his hands full there, and that is a huge moment then for a Code Brown moment for Beregoz. Let's perhaps replay that. As you're the race leader, this is your absolute worst nightmare, is a driver losing it in front of you who is not part of your race. Going into turn 7 we go, and Beregoz is getting closer and closer, and a huge snap then from the Kimiz Racing Team driver then. I don't know if that was Sol or that was Skycloud, but, well, I'm sure it wasn't Skycloud. She can't be a lap behind, can she? I think it might have been Skycloud, unfortunately for her. So Beregoz has now lapped P4, as has Vader. This is the battle then, with 2 laps remaining. Vader is definitely closing in here. 1:13.1, the 51st lap for Beregoz. 1:11.4 for Vader. And again, he goes over the limit going through turn 1. And if he had managed to not do that, this was definitely on. This win was on for Vader, but surely he can't perform an absolute miracle and come back from a 1.5 seconds of penalty to retake the lead of this race. It is going to be close regardless. Look at the pace differential between the two. 1:11.4 to 1:13.1 for Beregoz on the same lap. Beregoz keeping the tiniest amount of his push to pass left to use on that final lap if he does get Vader in his mirrors and in a threatening striking distance to him. We shall see, but this is the penultimate lap coming to an end. Vader with the penalty to pay, and has now paid that penalty. Can he run through turn 1 cleanly? Oh, he's still pushing like crazy through turn 10. He is not going to wind it down. He's not going to give up though, and he will still be expecting to win this race at this point. He has got a gap of probably 1.5 seconds here to the car in front. Vader, I'm sure, will still believe it is possible. 1:13.1 that time. Beregoz 1:12.6 with that penalty being paid. Beregoz is very slow. He's very cagey coming through turn 3. We could still have this come to an amazing grandstand finish. Beregoz limping home on the tyre in the middle of the road slightly there on the way into turn 4 and through 5. It looks like it's an impossible task. Vader will be believing. Beregoz will be nervous. He'll be hearing every clunk and rattle in his cockpit at the moment as Beregoz comes through turn 7 into turn 8. Beregoz surely has it with 2 turns left to go. This would be a tremendous turnaround for the season if he can hang on here. Beregoz goes into turn 9, the penultimate corner on the track. Smooth as you like through the exit, and Beregoz wins in Austria, round 9 of the championship. What a race between himself and Vader in second. A long way back to BaloFey in third, who is completely alone then coming through. Skycloud is about to finish 1 lap down in 4th. Astonishing that Vader and Beregoz lapped all but 4th position. Scavy in 5th, Solshock in 6th, Jogon Sim finishes in 7th. I think you'll be disappointed with that one. Scavy, driver of the day performance for me. Scavy into 5th. We've got Redux in 8th, Bo Grizzle in 9th, Yank the Tank in 10th, and Vicinity in 11th. We'll go through to see Mario come through in 12th place. Senor Dude will be 13th. QT at the back of the grid. Obviously something went very awry for QT. Bam! And smashes the car into the barrier to close out this race in 14th. Beregoz, Vader, BaloFey, your podium, with Skycloud finishing in 4th. Breathless race. I hope I can get my voice back in time for round 10 of the S1 Championship. But thank you so much to everybody who's taken the time to watch, like, subscribe, and do all the good things. Buy a t-shirt. and make sure you stop by my channel as well. But thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.